Check, check, microphone. Check, check. Oh, right. Live and learn. I mean, seriously. I moved my boom arm yesterday, and it was a slight static shock from my hand, from the rug, and it stopped the video in like mid-sentence. So I just started a new one and spliced them together. Yet, I mean, the audio quality was so poor in the second half of yesterday's episode. So we really sincerely apologize for that. I mean, Drinka and Pika take full responsibility. I'm just the talent. I show up and talk into the microphone, read the notes. But Pika takes full responsibility. Our management team here, our production team, is it's responsible and takes full responsibility. Recorded live pre-recorded live before a studio audience of stuffed animals and yourself. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern daily. We talk about comic books. So pull up a chair, grab a cuppa, whatever it is you're stuffing under your nose today, pal. Oh, yum. And take a break with us. We're talking about comic books as we do every day. Join us in the live chat on Premiere if I'm lucky enough to catch the premiere of the live chat and join you in conversation. I am so blessed and grateful for that. Also, leave a comment in the comment section. Keep the conversation going. We create this daily comic book shop style conversations. A big part of this show is to get you going back to your local comic book shop, to spend your money there, and to help keep your local comic book shops open. The LCS, the mom and pop brick and mortar shops. I'm buying my supplies there. I'm getting my boxes there. I'm moving from long boxes to short boxes. Getting my bags there. And I'm getting my acid-free boards there. And along the way, I am going to get a ballpark estimate of what my collection is worth and a better idea on grading comic books too. So I got the Overstreet Price Guide, the 52nd edition. I've got the Overstreet Guide to Grading Comic Books, 6th edition from 2021. These are great resources and great information for any comics fan. There are links in the description to both of these publications. You can get your own copy, play along at home, and let me know what you think. I just love these books. I can't suggest these strongly enough. Seriously, this is wow, next level stuff. I mean, I learned so much about this lifelong love of mine, of comic books, of floppies, of these publications, these magazines, these, they cost money, they cost attention, they cost time, they cost love and knowledge and room in your head, heart, and home. And along the way, I'm just learning how to grade them better, and finding some like real nuggets of like, oh wow, that's a first appearance, that's worth something. Oh, cool. So it's been a great ride so far. If you have any legitimate questions about the condition or value of your comic book, then go to your local comic book shop and talk to the owner or the staff. They should be able to identify and grade your comic book, or if not, put you on the path to a professional answer that you seek. This show is for entertainment purposes only. We're here to learn together and to have fun and to have comic book shop style conversations every day. Now let's get to it, huh? As we started on yesterday's episode, I went through all the beautiful back issues I bought this week, at the local comic book shop. And I just wanted to give a little bit more love to them and just show you them. This is from October of 1992. This came out when I was 19 years old. I didn't buy this then. I wasn't really into the Image Comics. But, I mean, look at that hollow foil cover. It's beautiful, and it's kept its condition. This went for $12 on the premium rack. This is issue 2 of 3 of Jim Lee's Wildcats. This is just full of great. It's got a cardstock cover. It had a $2.50 cover price in 1992, that would go for $5.30 today. So it's about what the median price is today. Rumor has it that all line wide is going up to $4.99, like very soon, if not already. And yeah, it's pocket change, spinner racks, newsstands. That's not comic books anymore. But like just this delicious Jim Lee art, inked by Scott Williams. Just Wildcats. It was like the covert action team of the Image universe, of the Wildstorm universe. This was Malibu Comics too, huh? Look at that. And just Jim apologizing. Yeah, I know the book you're holding in your hands is about 4 to 5 weeks late. And I realize this is an endemic for much of the Image line. I'm sorry. And that would be. I didn't read much Image growing up. And, because I was almost fully grown. I was, 19 years old, 20 years old. Going on to 21 years old, I was working in restaurants, and spending my money on good like beer, and in restaurants and dating and stuff. So that's where my disposable income went. But I got this strictly for the Jim Lee cover. I'm just so impressed with this foil cover. It's kept its luster, that it hasn't been out in the sunlight. It hasn't been like. This thing's been like well taken care of. I'm really impressed. I've seen some hollow foil covers that have been, exposed to light and sunlight elements, things like that, and they lose their luster. They just, or if they're handled, it's just entropy. Subject to decay are all component things. Struggle earnestly for your own salvation. That's the Buddha's final words. It was either that or, oh, damn, poison mushrooms. Something like that. Let's see. I wanted to just, go through these, just open these up, show some art. Like, I got these 2 issues of The Flash because, I've had both of these in the past. I had this when it came out. Look at the ads. These were plastic model kits of the GoBots, not GoBots themselves, of the toy. No, these were like bigger, like Monogram or Revell models. And they could still transform. I had some Revell Robotech models that would, especially the Valkyrie, the Skull 1, I had that. And it could transform. And it had its fast pack, which are the boosters. And the leg and forearm armors, but this is really good. See, let's set this up for you. Okay, this is volume 2 of The Flash, issue number 344. This volume will end in 350, with Barry Allen going to the 30th century. We'd call it the 31st century now, where Iris West is alive and well, and it's as though she fabricated a body to live in the 20th century to be with Barry, and she sent her consciousness there. So when Professor Zoom killed her, she didn't really die. Her consciousness returned to her original body in the 31st century. So when the trial was over, now Professor Zoom, Barry suffered the loss of his beloved Iris. He gained resilience. He started dating again, met a nice woman, and he was going to marry her. And on their wedding day, Professor Zoom was once again going to kill his bride on his wedding day. So instead of letting history repeat itself, Barry took matters into his own hands and killed Professor Zoom. Yeah, snapped his neck. So this is the trial of the Flash about the murder of Reverse Flash. And what happens is that Kid Flash, Wally West, is subpoenaed and put on the stand to testify against his uncle and mentor. Written by Cary Bates and John Broome. Pencils by Carmen Infantino. and who also does the cover. But the cover was inked by Klaus Janssen, and I'm just so. I remember having this when I was a kid. I remember Wally having to testify against Barry. And look, just want to say, like, the few and far between use of lowercase in the Bronze Age in voice bubbles. It was meant for effect that he's speaking very softly. And so in Kid Flash's opinion, no, it was not necessary to kill him. Yeah, and so, but this thing covers the origin of Kid Flash, and which is great because here we go. I love Kid Flash. I love that outfit, that the Teen Titans look there, of the silver, bronze, and well, not the Copper Age, because by the time the Copper Age runs around, he's the Flash, especially in the 1987's Flash number 1, Volume 3, Flash number 1, written by Mike Baron. That gets handed off to William Messner Loebs, who did, I think, an amazing kind of soapy, melodramatic run. I really liked Bill Messner Loeb's Flashes, Wally West Flashes. Those are really, really good. And but this is great because it just documents their whole history. You know, the original Kid Flash costume was an exact replica of the Flash costume, wherein after an adventure he changes his costume into something a bit more independent, that he could find, he can look like himself, I guess, and just stand apart. But I love the combination of Flash and Kid Flash. It was cooler looking than Batman and Robin on some level, I think. I love that. But and Wally West was one of the first kid sidekicks to ever fulfill the purpose of legacy. So when Barry dies in Crisis on Infinite Earths, so in issue 350, Barry goes to live happily ever after with Iris West, who's alive and well in the 31st century. And that is where the Anti-Monitor steals him, and from his idyllic future. He's only in the future for a couple of months, enjoying married life, long enough to impregnate his wife with twins, the Tornado Twins, Dawn, D-O-N, and Dawn, D-A-W-N, the mother of Jenny Ognutz, and the father of Bart Allen, the Speeds XS and Impulse, the teen speedsters of the 31st century. And this was I remember this, and I think I remember having the teacher took it away from me, I think. I'm pretty darn sure about that. But this honestly plays well with another Flash comic book I got that same day. See, this went for $5, which is great. It's in it's a really good condition. Let me make sure that the tape doesn't fall on the paper. That's probably one of the worst ways to injure your floppy is Scotch tape on the cover. So here we go. That issue plays so very well with 1994's Flash issue 0. This is great because once again, this is about Wally. Wally's a bit unstuck in time, traveling the Speed Force, which we now know is the source of the speedster's super speeds. And that Barry is actually lost his corporeal form and he's somewhere in this Speed Force. That comes to be more evident in 2007, 2008 with DC Universe number 0 and Final Crisis itself when Barry comes back. Then there's also a huge 6-issue event comic book called Flash Rebirth that was written by Jeff Johns with amazing art by Public Enemy number 1. This is really interesting though. It's Mike Rowingo's art, and this is an issue 0. So it's a new adventure, and it takes place in the past. So what it does is that it catches the reader up with an info dump of who is Wally West. How did he become Flash? Why does he do the things he does? He was once a kid from Blue Valley, Nebraska. And here we have this huge splash page, you know, showing his genesis from kid sidekick and Teen Titan to stepping up and inheriting the mantle of his fallen mentor, his uncle Barry Allen. But here we go. So same as in Flash 344, we have the retelling of Wally West's transformation into Kid Flash. And see, it's the same story being told again. And we do this in comic books. It's a cycle that, you know, it's a constant telling and retelling. And when you retell the past here, you can put in new elements to propel a future story forward. So here we have Wally, and he's popped up. He's been energized into the Speed Force, and he's come back for a moment. He's gained his body back, but he's in the past, and he remembers this from being a kid. That this day that his his cousin, who looked a lot like him, he had this conversation with his older cousin that, you know, gave him hope and inspiration. And but look at that! Aw, Captain's Lug. You can tell he was a Star Trek fan too, huh? Ain't that cool? And but yeah, he gives him the idea for the Kid Flash outfit. He gives himself his idea for the Kid Flash outfit. And this is not the last time that a time remnant of Wally confronts himself. We'll probably most notoriously see that again in Heroes in Crisis. Oh gosh, that was just, oh please. I'm in a memory hole. Heroes in Crisis. I really am. I wanted to show off this one. There were 2 copies of this, one for $24 and one for $20. I had this when I was a kid. This is X-Men number 205. This is a one-shot issue. This was written by Chris Claremont, but also it was co-written by Barry Windsor Smith. Now, Barry Windsor Smith did a lot of Conan the Barbarian, a lot of fantasy stuff, and also the Marvel Comics Presents Weapon X. That was the definitive origin of how Wolverine got his adamantium skeleton. And it's that famous thing that you see him, he's almost naked except for all these electronics and this weird helmet. And he's being controlled by, I think, General Stryker. And he's, you know, part of the mission, the Weapon Plus program. And he escapes. And he has no idea who he is or how he got there or what his name is. And it's, you know... But this, you know, Barry Windsor Smith did the cover and all the interior art. Pencils, inks, and colors. I mean, gee, and I just love this. And it's a really good story. I mean, and it was out a year before Clive Barker's Hellraiser movie. So you have all these things about body modification, body horror. And so it's got some kind of... maybe a backdoor pilot or crossover with some of the Power Pack kids. And let's see. We're going to look at the checklist really quick in the back here. I see when Power Pack. What issue of Power Pack come out? If it is here. Power Pack number 21. So Power Pack's been going on for almost 2 years as of this one. So yeah, it's not a backdoor pilot. But... it's just Wolverine being the best at what he does. He's being hunted by these by Lady Deathstrike and these cybernetic killers. But like, look at this. Nice try, mutie. That was point blank. No way he could have survived. Guess again, chump. And there you go. That's Wolverine doing the best at what he does. Right there. This wonderful art. Huh? Isn't that cool? Translated from the Japanese. Those little carrots, you know, in the voice bubble there. Indeed, yeah, Lady Deathstrike. This was so good. Yes. So happy to get this one. Yeah, I had this in high school and or maybe even late middle school too. I mean, I wouldn't be in high school until 1980, until fall of 87. And the Indicia Colophones, this is a May of 1986 funny book. So I would have been 13 years old in middle school. Ain't that cool? I got also... Now this is great. I don't think I had this specific one as a kid. I got a good hint from Yule Carter on his TV show, Fantastic Comics. He mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you could pick up anything under a 40-cent cover price and you're doing good. I'm sticking to that. It's a simple rule. So if you see something, under 40 cents, like, you know, some Bronze Age stuff, you can just pick it up and just like and sit on it and keep it in good condition. I mean, oh, look at this. I love the ads. This is from 1978, July, August, and I would have bought something like this. This is beautiful Jim Aparo art. This exact scene is inside the comic book. So the cover does, play out in here. Bob Haney wrote this. Jim Aparo is the artist. That means pencil and inks. And it's just wonderful. I mean, look at these 3 panels down here. I like this sequence right here. I love this look of Batman. And what I figured out, what I loved most of all was I was on Ginger Ninjas yesterday morning, and we were talking about Garcia Lopez. Let's see, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. And what I found was the 1982 DC Comics style guide that he drew. And so and he was drawing I seen earlier ones as well, but this Garcia Lopez art was just so iconic and distinctive. It was used on properties. I have a fridge magnet of Green Lantern, and that's like about a decade old. So even up to a decade ago, they were still using these 30, 40-year-old Jose Luis Garcia Lopez designed characters. And the style guide is just wonderful because it's so consistent. So this Batman, this look that he's got, is consistent over Batman, Detective Comics, The Brave and the Bold, which is the Batman team-up comic book, Justice League of America, any other comic book that he would guest star in. And he had the same look over on the TV cartoon, The Super Friends on ABC, and the CBS, The All New Adventures of Batman and Robin. The yellow logo. They had the yellow utility belt with pods. I mean, little pouches. Those came about in 1966 in the Adam West show. But I don't believe that pouches on the Bat belt, on the Bat utility belt, were used until Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns in 1986. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know the answer in the chat or in the comments, please throw it out there. I'd like to know. But I would always love that old style of utility belt because it was about his technical genius. Batman being a designer, an engineer, and a mechanic. That he was able to make these miniaturized computers and miniaturize this and that, and have he had these little pods on his utility belt, and but over time it became the kind of practical looking pouch, in the pouches on the utility belt itself. So, but I was just so impressed with the syzygy between them in the medium, and in the different media, because media is the plural of medium. So you had toys and comic books and cartoons with basically identical intellectual properties. I mean, Aquaman didn't deviate from this. Wonder Woman, Robin, Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Shazam. I mean, there was a consistency, a real hardcore consistency, and it came from using something like the Style Guide, which was like a Bible and a resource that it has to look like this, and this is how Batman looks. And I really appreciated that, and because I do like different Bat costumes. I mean, it's kind of fun, yet I mean, I kind of miss that consistency and that level of effort. And I wonder if there is a 2003 DC Comics Style Guide, or even if they're allowed to at this point. And there was just one more. Look at this one. Look at the back of this one. This is a 1983 comic book. No, 1981. DC Comics Presents, Volume 4, Number 33. Cover date of May of 1981. This was great. This is Jerry Conway wrote the plot. Roy Thomas wrote the script. And it's Rich Buckler and Dick Giordano on the art. And it's the cover is in the book. And look at it. It's a team up between Captain Marvel, Shazam, and Superman. But they have their powers and costumes are switched. And it's some kind of double deal with Mr. Mind and Mr. McSticklepick, and hijinks ensue, and learning too, such as like hey Batson, use your heat ray, and it's like, hey Kal-El, you say the magic word and use your thunderbolt. What do you mean? What magic word? So it's like they got to learn more and more about each other and about how their power sets work, and it was really fun. I've always wanted this because I love the Shazam Superman team-ups, and this one has always caught my eye. I must have been 8 years old when this came out. A little too young. Well, maybe not. I mean, this looks like it would have been on the same spinner rack as the Marvels that I was reading at that time, that famous Summer of '81 with the Columbia 10-speed bike ads. Well, this is what they were doing over at DC at the same time. That's when DC DC doesn't go to 60. The DC goes to 60 cents for like 5 minutes. But they go up to 75 cents pretty darn quick. But when the same summer of '81, that was the last of the 50-cent Marvels when they increased the price to 60 cents. And that was during the Columbia bike ad days. And I just think this was a fun issue. And this was a fun issue too. There's just old stories. It's simple and action-packed and dynamic. And there's just not a lot of wasted story beats. There are no wasted panels. It's just all about it's very business-like, but at the same time, the business is fun. And it leads you to think, like, what's the business now? What fun is it in, is the only fun, like, for certain creators to dunk on chuds? I mean, that's the bad taste that I'm left to think. That makes me a bad person, I guess, to say things critical. But, also, I mean, DC is making effort to make some comic books, for their old general audience. And I really appreciate that. I do. And, oh, wow, this is good. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us today. We've been talking about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. Tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, daily. We also talk about spirituality and purpose. We talk about cooking a lot. I'm a professional chef. I do a lot of cooking videos, and I see bunnies in the morning eating their breakfast. I see planets in the early morning pre-dawn skies. If I do, I will point them out to you, being like, hey, that's the planet Venus. Look up. Hey, look up into the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's the comics coffee table. Thank you so very much for tuning in and hanging out with us today. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.